when it comes to learning English, you do not necessarily have to get a native speaker of English. Korean people, a lot of Korean people, even Japanese people, fly to the Philippines to learn English. I have some friends from the Philippines. They have never been out of their country before. They have been to Taiwan, but they've never been to the United States, and they speak English perfectly. Me the pillow that you dream on.
I talked to my friends about you and like their experience in coming in contact with you. And they said that you would have lecture halls with 500 people in them watching you teach English.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What do you think attracted people to your class?
So every now and then, after almost 15 minutes, I decided to sing a song. I use this kind of a skill. This is my hobby also. But I never finished singing one whole song. I just, sang, let's say, about, two-thirds of the song. Then I stop and then, okay, now, back to work.
Yeah,
back to work.
Do you feel that if you grew up in a time like now in Taiwan where people are wealthier and you didn't have to work so hard just to get by, do you think that you would be a musician or an actor right from the get-go?
I thought about that. But if I were born into a very wealthy family, then probably I would be totally different.
Yeah,
I would like to own a Porsche or something. Okay?
Just drive around the city.
Yeah. Showing off the clothes, fancy clothes I have.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want to do that? It sounds great.
So I always mean what I say. You can tell.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So maybe if you were born into a rich family, you wouldn't be motivated to work hard. You'd just be playing around.
Yeah, I think the United States, people, rich people everywhere, are the same, okay? If you lead a very cozy life, you're always in the comfort zone. You no longer be aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you growing up, you grew up poor, you had this fire, this motivation where I'm like, I'm going to learn English and improve myself and improve my lot in life.
Yeah. And English, of course, is something that can change your whole life. I still remember once I was in Egypt, okay? That country is famous for its relics, a lot of, beautiful old things, okay? But there are also a lot of homeless children and very poor people around, and they beg for money. They could barely survive, so to speak. But there's one thing that is very good about them. They never force you to give them money. And they like to speak English. That's, that aroused my curiosity because very few people of them, went to school. So I asked them, how come you could, speak English? We picked English everywhere because, there are a lot of tourists. I want to talk. A Malaysian asked me, how come a lot of people here in Taipei, they want to speak English, but they just cannot, fully express themselves. We from Malaysia, we find it quite easy. I said, you don't bother to understand grammar. That's right. We seldom, pay attention to grammar. We just, say whatever we think is right and, express ourselves. That's it.
So there's this kind of circumstance where people want to learn how to speak English. They have this desire to be able to communicate with people. But also there's such high social pressure on getting good grades on tests that people are forced almost into trying to study super hard and go to cram school when the passion should be redirected to learning how to listen and how to speak.
Very good question. I myself, used to be, caught in that situation also. I had to score very high on all kinds of English tests. This is, I think this is the norm here, especially as far as Chinese society is concerned, okay? they wanted their children to score high on the English tests, and then that means, their children, they can show off. My child really has a very good command of English. This is not the case at all. And they were forced to do this simply because, our society is basically examination oriented.
In a way, it seems like if the government actually wants people to speak English, they should just get away with the tests.
Mm-hmm. You're right. I 100% agree with you. There is a bunch of people that are, quite fortunate. These people are from rich families who could, afford to send their children to bilingual schools. They could, learn to speak English very beautifully.
In that vein, though, I've noticed in Taiwan that there is kind of this putting English teachers from the West on a pedestal. Like, if you're a white American English teacher, that's the person to learn from, which I find is a little bit misguided.
Oh, this is misguided, of course, But we tend to think that Caucasians, are better than, people of different colors, okay? This is not the case at all, okay? What I mean is that, when it comes to learning English, you do not necessarily have to, get a native speaker of English, like, people from Canada or from the United States. Not very far from here, there is an island country, the Philippines. Quite a few years ago, the call centers, in India, made some money. But their accent is really strange, very hard to understand.
Sometimes very hard, yeah.
And the people in the Philippines found that it was, there was a good chance for them to use call centers to make money. And, the Filipinos are very clever. It doesn't mean that, those white Lao, speak very good English. White Lao are just like, those general people in Singapore. They speak Singlish.
Yeah.
But for those people that are teaching English as a second language in the Philippines, many of them, are professionals. You'll be amazed to find that, especially when you have a chance to listen to their radio programs, okay? You can hardly tell that, he is a Filipino. To my understanding, I have, some friends from the Philippines. They have never been out of their country before. They have been to Taiwan, but they have never been, to the United States. And they speak English perfectly.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I've had that same thought for living in Taiwan so long, that there's this just incredible resource of very, very good English speakers, very close to here in the same time zone, that speak very, very fluently, and to my ear, almost like an American. But no one here wants to study with them.
That's too bad. Korean people, a lot of Korean people, even Japanese people, fly to the Philippines to learn English. One of the perks is that, it's cheap.
It's so cheap.
Cheap, yes. And also, you can stay with them, for, let's say, about a half a year or something. You will find that you end up making a lot of change.
Of course. There's just so much practice. I had a colleague that was taking classes through the internet with a Filipino for 50 NT an hour. 50, and she's like, is the person's accent good? I'm like, it's good enough. If you're getting it for 50 NT and you can just practice with that person every day, why would you not want to do that?
For those, I'm going to say, for those who want to learn English, I strongly encourage you to go to the Philippines. Over there, you'll find people there are also good at singing. Their voices.
Yes. Very beautiful voices.